I'm here with Stan Johnson. Stan's on the board of directors for the Gatlinburg Gateway Foundation, and he's going to be telling us about an exciting event that's coming up real soon. Stan, welcome. Thanks for being with us on Inside Gatlinburg.
Well, thank you, Mike.
And I know that there is a gala and a special event coming up. What is the name of this?
It's called A Dance Among the Trees. The Gatlinburg Gateway Foundation has been looking to partner with another civic organization to do a fundraising, and we think we found the perfect partner for this year. The Gatlinburg Garden Club, who puts on the Festival of Trees every year here in December, will be celebrating the 30th year of the Festival of Trees this year. And so for that celebration, we're going to put on a real gala at Mills Auditorium in behalf of the Garden Club and the Festival of Trees.
So you guys are going to partnership together.
We're going to partnership together, right. The Gatlinburg Gateway Foundation is all about partnershiping. And so we feel that to do a fundraiser, we'd like to do it with somebody, and somebody deserving, and nobody's more deserving than the Garden Club.
Well, tell us about the event. What are the?
Well, it's going to be a wonderful evening. It'll be held at Mills Auditorium on December 17th.
Okay.
And we're going to have a dance and reception. For the dance, the band, we got the band The Rocket, which is a wonderful band here in the local area. For our food area, we have a young lady from Knoxville, Elizabeth Farr, who's a harpist, will be doing chamber music for us. And then to add a little spice and a little excitement to the overall party, we have Barry Mitchell, who's going to do strolling magic for us. Kind of go around talking to groups and showing magic to private little groups, and it'll be fun. It'll be a real fun evening.
Sounds like a great slate of entertainment, and I've heard there's going to be a lot of door prizes. And tell us a little bit about the food too, please.
Well, I'll go into the food. Charles Williams, who does the food for the auditorium, is going to put out an abundant selection of hot and cold appetizers. We're also going to have a beef carving station for mini sandwiches, and he's going to provide us with a wonderful array of desserts, a nice dessert bar, a coffee bar and punch bar, and we also will have a cash bar for alcoholic beverages for those who would like to partake. The other thing is, as you mentioned, the door prizes. We are going to have a tremendous selection of door prizes, and to head the list off, our gold sponsor is Food City, our new supermarket here in the city. And they're going to donate a year's supply of groceries. That's $50 a week for 52 weeks. And that's going to be our main door prize for the evening. But there'll be many, many other door prizes of great value. So it's going to be a great evening and a lot of fun.
Now, if people want to get more information, or if they want to get tickets to this event, which I know they will, when is this going to happen?
Well, the tickets are going to be available on November 1st, and they will be available at all 5 of the local banks.
Okay.
And so you'll be able to go to your bank of choice and go in and buy your ticket. And the tickets are going to be $75 a person, and we think it's a wonderful value. And as I mentioned at the beginning here, the profit that is made will be split between the Gatlinburg Gateway Foundation and the Gatlinburg Garden Club.
Two great organizations.
Two great organizations.
And as you mentioned, for the $75, it sounds like a heck of a value with the entertainment and the food and the door prizes and just the get-together.
It is, and that's really what we're looking to do too, is to celebrate this wonderful event and have the citizenship of Gatlinburg come together for a great evening of fun, and also an opportunity to say thank you to an organization, the Garden Club, who's been in this community since the 1930s and have done wonderful work during that whole period of time, and we respect that.
Sounds great, and I'll tell you what, we'll be there for sure.
Wonderful.
Stan, thanks.
Thank you.
I'm here with Jeff Walpert. Jeff is the president of the Gatlinburg Gateway Foundation, and he's going to tell us about what's happening with the Gateway Foundation. Jeff, thanks for being with us on Inside Gatlinburg.
Thanks for giving me the opportunity, Mike.
Give us an update of what the Gateway Foundation is, when it started, what's happened between then and now, and we'll go on from there.
Okay. Well, Gateway Foundation has been in business now for a little over 3 years. Our first founding board members have just finished their first term. So that's taken us through the cycle of the first board service. And it took us about a year to get it all together before that, after Luther Probst delivered his really important report to Gatlinburg on the possibilities in the future that we could have if we got citizens involved in guiding our community.
Where did he get his information for the report?
Well, he and Catherine Gillum came to town. They were actually hired through a collaborative effort that was actually a result of the, I guess, the City of Gatlinburg, the Department of Tourism, and SAMAB got actually 200 people in town to come hear him and put up their money to hire he and Catherine Gillum to do a report on the possibilities of Gatlinburg. And they did a little over $20,000 worth of work, but the ideas have just been phenomenal.
And didn't they interview like a huge cross-section of people to find out what they expected of Gatlinburg or what they would like to see Gatlinburg become? Or?
Well, they wanted to really get into Gatlinburg and get a sense of what a broad cross-section of people envision for our community. So they interviewed 85 people from all over the community and came back and said it was amazing how similar their ideas were about what Gatlinburg should be.
Then what happened after that?
Well, they combined the ideas from the people that they had talked to with ideas that they had about Gatlinburg as a gateway community to Great Smoky Mountain National Park, and came up with all kinds of recommendations for us, all the way from pointing out the fact that we're a great walking community and we should capitalize on that, to the kind of tourists that we should be attracting given the wonderful resources that we have, and the look and the feel of that the community should have to attract this new and growing tourist population.
Now, wasn't there a partnership formed?
Yes, actually, the Gatlinburg Gateway Foundation came as a result of a recommendation that Luther Probst had actually made specifically in his report. He said that Gatlinburg had many very talented people who lived here that were underutilized, and that others were very dependent on government to make all of our decisions and to create the community that they thought was best for us, along with the business community, just by the way that it ran its business. But they suggested that we really needed to get these talented citizens involved in defining our future. And so they suggested specifically that we form a community organization to get citizens involved. And so we formed the Gatlinburg Gateway Foundation, and we decided that we wanted to get the citizens to come out and address issues that were of high priority to them and organize them in going to work. Well, in organizing this conference, we utilized Bob Gonia from the Leadership Severe program.
Right.
And Bob has had a whole career of experience in community development work with TVA. And he recognized and advised us from the beginning that we needed to get all of the community involved from the beginning. So we formed a partnership to put on this conference, and we got the City of Gatlinburg first to join in the partnership. We got the Gatlinburg Chamber of Commerce, the management from Great Smoky Mountain National Park, and the Friends of the Smokies to join in with us in putting on this conference.
Now, has this partnership recently expanded a little bit?
Oh yes, all of these organizations have non-voting ex officio members who are on the Gateway Foundation Board of Directors, and they've just been wonderful in helping advise us what the community needs were, offering resources to help our action teams to succeed in their work, and also they've just been there when they come to our meetings, actually in coordinating efforts among themselves. And it's been wonderful, and the partners have all shared with us their enthusiasm about our work and the fact that they're able to get together and do some planning around some of the work we're doing. And it's been so fruitful that we've decided that we would try and expand some of these partners in the community by asking them to join our board of directors as additional non-ex officio members. So this year, our board has agreed to invite, and they've accepted a representative from the Great Smoky Mountain Natural History Association, from the Gatlinburg Retail Merchants Association, and from the new executive director at Aramond.
All important partners.
All of them have joined our board of directors and have been very honored when we asked them to participate, and already have come up with good ideas at the very first meeting that they attended.
Then there was a community action conference. Tell us a little bit about that and what has been the result of that.
That community action conference was that activity that I told you about earlier, where we formed the partnership to put on the conference and bring the citizens together. And that took place in January of 2000. We had over 300 people attend that conference. And I mean, that's a phenomenal considering our community just has a little over 3,000.
Right.
So out of the 300 plus that participated, over 200 of them agreed to go to work on action teams to deal with a variety of community issues that they identified were important to them.
Give us a couple examples of the action teams from that point to now and what has been accomplished.
Well, one of the action teams that got going right away was the air quality action team. And
which is so important to us.
Absolutely. I mean, it's amazing how central the issue of air quality and visibility in our community has become in just the last few months, really. But they've been working for over a year now. And they have really decided that they were going to start with the young people in our community and have organized these air fairs in the schools to start teaching the kids about the issues as it relates to air quality and also how they can get involved. They are leading an effort in our community to switch as many residents and businesses over to green power as possible. This is electricity that's produced from either wind, solar, or methane gas that comes from landfills. These are all clean energy sources, and if we could get 8% of our county to sign on to green power, we would be the most green power county in the country.
That's fabulous. And these kids are starting in grade school, and they're getting educated.
That's right.
That's fabulous.
They're writing essays about it and going home and trying to enlist their families in this. And so far, they've had some nice success. But if some of our viewers would keep in mind that they need to sign on to green power, it's very simple. You can do it for as little as $4 a month to be a participant as a resident. And you can really show support not only for these people who are working hard, but also Gatlinburg and Sevier County could become known as being very proactive in cleaning up the air, not just talking about it.
So if they did want to participate, they could contact the Gateway Foundation or the Sevier County Electric or the school system?
Actually,
any of those?
Sevier County Electric has a representative. His name's Alan Robbins.
Okay.
And he is working very hard with our air quality action team to make this green power switch happen.
Tell us about some of the other action teams.
Well, the Heritage Marketing Team is one of our most recent visible successes.
And that's so important with tourism.
Oh,
heritage.
yeah. I mean, not only is it the fact that the new tourists, the tourists that are looking to bring their families to a place to vacation where they can have a vacation with some education and some kind of substance and meaning for their family and their kids, loves the prospect of coming here and learning about the exciting history that we have. And so for some time now, I've known that the city has been trying to get a brochure together, something together to promote this for the city in addition. But we had this team form out of our Community Action Conference who wanted to make our heritage more visible. So they got together and chose a variety of local spots that are of historical significance. And they designed a brochure in partnership with the Natural History Association's design department, and they put together a brochure. The Natural History Association helped them with the design and to get the printing quote together, took it back to the city. The city liked it so well that they took the funding from their budget and had them do the printing and then bring it back to the city, and we have a great brochure. And they came up with so many locations they couldn't get them all in one. So they actually have probably a third of what they have in mind in telling the public about in this first publication, and they already have 2 more on the board if this goes over well. And I understand that we're actually selling them to raise money to continue the effort.
Well, I know how many people come to Gatlinburg and they're interested in the history, and to see a team effort like this make something like this happen, that's great.
Well, it's a great product for our customer, for our guest, but it's also a great victory for citizens in our community, an independent organization like the Natural History Association in the park, and our city government to partner in coming up with something that was better than any one of them could have produced on their own.
Now, I know there's another action team, the First and Lasting Impression team, which everybody's been talking about. Tell us about them.
Well, First and Lasting Impressions came up with their name with the idea that they wanted to have a great look for Gatlinburg when people came here, that first impression, and that they wanted our community to be very attractive and warm and hospitable to guests who were here, so it would leave them with a lasting impression when they left for their vacation. And they came up with a whole list of projects that they have in mind, but the first one that they've really followed through on is redesigning the entrance signage to Gatlinburg out on the east entrance, coming in from the National Park, and the north entrance from Pigeon Forge. This group
which was badly needed.
Yes, very badly needed. This group formed, got their priorities together, followed the process that Bob Gonya trained them with when they formed to get themselves organized and to figure out who they needed to work with and discover what kind of work was already being done and make sure that they were actually adding to whatever was happening. And they came up with this opportunity to apply for this grant that would help them with the planning of this project. And they got the first EDA grant, Economic Development Administration grant, that Gatlinburg has ever had. Those are normally inner city urban kind of grants, but because the north entrance of Gatlinburg was so depressed, and that was their first project, that they got the EDA interested in doing that. And so they applied for a matching grant. They won it. The EDA came up with half, and then they raised, along with the city and from private citizens, the other half of the grant money that they needed. And they hired Barge Wagner, Sumner and Cannon, who already does a lot of work in Gatlinburg, to
good firm.
Yeah,
great firm.
To lead a process of going out and asking people how they'd like for this to look. Came up with some great designs, and now you may have seen in town some of the boards that illustrate what the entrance designs that they have in mind should look like. And it's gotten artists from the Aramont School involved in participating in this, private landowners, and as I understand it, the City Commission expects to actually fund the construction of these signs once the plans all go together.
It's just exciting, Jeff, to see a work in progress and to see these people that were so dedicated, so into it, and so passionate to see something happen that's happening.
Yes. Well, I mean, one thing that took us, a lot of times people have said to me recently, we hear about Gatlinburg Gateway Foundation. We know that everyone who is involved is excited about the prospects of what we're doing and what's going on in the community, but they don't know exactly why more isn't happening or how much of an impact is it going to have. And it took us a while to get started. Really, usually when citizen groups or any kind of organization comes together in a community, established groups perceive that it's probably some kind of threat. It's a group that's trying to empower themselves to tell other people what to do for their own gain at everyone else's expense, as they might have in mind. And so we've worked very slowly and cautiously to establish a new way of doing work in Gatlinburg. We want to work with our community, with our strengths, our wonderful economic base, our strong business community, our top quality government, along with talented people who have relocated in this area to either work, retire, or work out of the area, but just to live here, to coordinate all of their efforts and to make our community better. And that's taken some time because we've wanted to proceed very carefully and not make assumptions about what other people want, but it takes time to invest in listening to others and hearing what they're saying and reflecting back what you hear and bringing it all together to establish some kind of trust that leads to great possibilities. I'd like to say, Mike, that we're ready to get more people involved in what we're doing right now. We've got another action team that's just formed that's going to organize a broader visioning conference for Gatlinburg. We had just the citizens involved in the beginning. There were in our action conference and in our work.
Elaborate on that a little bit with the new group put together or with the new vision. Or...
Well, what we're working on, the first time that we brought citizens together, it was truly the citizen idea. We had plenty of business people who were there, but mostly people came with the idea that they were coming to plan a better Gatlinburg to live in, more than one to prosper in.
Okay.
The Gateway Foundation mission has always been that Gatlinburg should be environmentally responsible and economically prosperous. But people think when citizen groups form that it's more of the environmental side without consideration for the financial side. And what we're doing is we're certainly keeping that mission in mind of being environmentally responsible. The environment here is our golden goose.
Sure.
We have to be sure that it's healthy. But we also want now to get more of the business community involved. And we want to get the business operators in the community establishing a vision for themselves about what would make themselves even more prosperous.
Now, I know that the Gatlinburg Gateway Foundation meets on a monthly basis.
Yes.
And I've attended several of the meetings. Tell us a little bit about a usual meeting and some of the things that take place there.
Okay. Well, our board meets on the fourth Tuesday of every month. We start out with our partnership council meeting. That was the 5 original partners that put on our original conference that I mentioned to you. The action teams come to that partnership council and they consult with that group. They get ideas, they tell them what they're doing, they get ideas from these people about what might make them more likely to succeed. They are offered resources very often, and it's very helpful to our community leaders who participate because it keeps them informed about what's coming up and to make sure we're not duplicating efforts and so on.
Well, it's a great process.
Yeah.
Just watching it, and like the things you just mentioned, when people come to the table, everybody's there with the same idea, the same goal to help, to try to work together as a partnership.
That's right, and they're becoming more comfortable with that help. It's not as threatening as it might have been because we don't worry about stepping on toes because we've done so much great work together. We certainly want to be respectful.
Good point.
But we really have gotten comfortable with the fact that we can throw new ideas out there and that possibilities that we never imagined are now on the horizon for the work that we're doing.
And you just mentioned Horizon. What are your immediate goals for the near future for the Gateway Foundation and the rest of the partnership? Just a few things that you'd like to see accomplished.
Well, one of them is what we were talking about with this visioning. I mean, we really need to have a broad vision for Gatlinburg where everyone that we can get to participates in establishing a future, an image of a future in their minds and on paper that we all share, that would make our community better for them as individuals, better for them as citizens, better for them as business people, and better for all of us collectively. Luther Probst said that we had such a shared vision when he interviewed the first 85 people that he wasn't sure that we even needed to have a visioning conference. But what we have learned is that even though very often people on their own agree with what the future that they see for Gatlinburg, very often they don't realize anyone else does. And the only way that they're going to believe it is to hear them say it.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that we need to have that happen. I don't know that there'll be an image or a vision of Gatlinburg much different than you and I can imagine, but it's critically important that we get this community together and this community understands and agrees on that vision. So that's one of my highest priorities. Having more participation from people who live in this community in making that vision a reality is important. So it's exciting, the notion of getting more people involved in changing and working on our community positively and productively.
Okay, for the viewer, the citizen, or the person that's heard about the Gateway Foundation that would like to become involved, what do they need to do?
Well, they can, first of all, if they know of anyone who participates in an action team, they can find out about it and join in anytime if they'd like to participate. Secondly, we have this action team that's working on this visioning conference and a visioning activity. We don't know exactly what it'll look like until the team does their work. But they need to think about what would be best for them in Gatlinburg and how they'd like for Gatlinburg to be, and they will hear about this, whatever activities come out of this. We've got our first community newsletter coming out. It'll go to every person in Gatlinburg who receives mail. So in that newsletter, they'll be able to hear information, read information about what opportunities there are for them to participate, where these teams are, and where this visioning process is going, and so on. So they'll have an opportunity to participate in that way. And they'll also, we've got so much exciting work going on, we're needing to accelerate our fundraising.
Tell us about that. There's a special event coming up in December.
Yes, there is. There'll be a form in their newsletter where they can become a member of the foundation at different levels, support us at different levels, but there's a place for everyone to become a supporter. And in addition to that, we're having our first big fundraising event, and we're partnering with the Gatlinburg Garden Club.
Oh, great.
We're having a dance among the trees at the Mills Auditorium on December 17th. And it's going to be the opening night of the annual Festival of Trees, and it's going to be the premier event in Gatlinburg. We're going to have live music, we're going to have wonderful food, great entertainment, a variety of entertainment, and everybody's going to be there. So you need to be sure and get that on your calendar, and be sure that everyone out there gets it on their calendar, because it's going to be the event that you want to participate in and be at, because it's a lot of people who are excited about the future of our community, many people who are already participating, and it's fun to get involved, and we really could use the support.
Now, Jeff, I know you've been involved with the foundation since the beginning,
Yes.
basically, and you've really basically kept it rolling through high times, low times. What's really driven you to just hang in here and to just really keep, your involvement and your participation? Because I want to commend you for it.
I'm going to take a stab at answering that. I wish I really knew.
It's like if somebody asks you, why do you run for commission? You wish you only knew.
That's right. But it's the right thing.
Yeah.
And really, I was not involved in getting this original report done, other than I was a contributor like many other people in investing in this work. But when the report came out and they talked about the importance of forming this community organization, I just had this idea it was up to me. And I can't describe it as much more than that. Not that it was up to me to make it my way, but it was up to me to make sure that this citizen group formed. That is really the biggest part. The justification behind all of that, I guess, if you're looking for anything like that, is I've been in Gatlinburg for 24 years, and it's been good to me from the beginning. Financially, it's been good to me. I met my wife here. I've raised my children in the area, and I've met wonderful people who care so much, and I've shared in an enormous amount of frustration in seeing how very nice, smart, caring people that I know can get so upset with each other about the community and can't seem to get unstuck. And this report and the prospect of the work that we could do seems so positive and so helpful in raising the tide of the quality of community that we could have here, that it just seemed like what I ought to do.
Well, I'm glad you did it, and keep up the good work.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you for all your help.
Appreciate it. I'm here today with Stan Johnson. Stan is a retired businessman from Cincinnati, Ohio, and he is on the board of directors for the Gatlinburg Gateway Foundation. And we're going to talk to Stan and get to know a little bit more about him and a little bit more about the Gateway Foundation. Stan, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, Mike.
Now, where did you spend most of your life? Where did you come from before you came to Gatlinburg?
Well, I spent most of my business career in Cincinnati, Ohio.
What did you do there?
I was in the retail business, and for all 44 years with one company, and finally retired, and came to Gatlinburg to enjoy that retirement.
Tell me about your family.
My family, my wife, I have 2 children and 6 grandchildren, and they're a joy, as all kids are.
Now, I know you've got a home in Gatlinburg, and you've had a home here for how long?
Had the home in Gatlinburg for over 32 years that we retired into.
What made you decide to build in Gatlinburg and have a home here 30 years ago while you were still in Cincinnati?
You know, when you're in business for yourself, there's a lot of pressure, and you need that release factor. And Gatlinburg seemed to be that for me. I could come down here and I seemed to be able to relax and enjoy the area and the beauty of the area. And so it made sense to me to build a home, to have a place to come to that I could get away from, bring my family and my children and enjoy the mountains.
Now, how long have you lived here full time?
This going on 3 years.
And I know you're on the board of directors for the Gateway Foundation, and you're recently made the treasurer, and you're on the fundraising organization. Why did you, or what made you get involved with Gateway Foundation?
Well, the main reason is that I believe that people should be involved in their community. I think it's an important part of your life, and I think we all have that obligation. Some of us take it more serious than others, but giving back to your community is important. And the Gateway Foundation, to me, had the vision of what a community wants to be. And it takes people and time and effort to work through all that. And that's what fascinated me about the Gateway Foundation.
And I find it fascinating too with the partnership that's been formed, and with us being right next to the Smoky Mountain National Park, how important it is for us to be a good gateway city.
Oh, we have an obligation like no other. Because of that, we have a responsibility to the thousands of visitors that come through this area, to have them have a wonderful city to visit and to enjoy. But we also have that same responsibility to our citizens.
Yes.
Because we live here, and our children grow up here. So community is an important part, and it's important that a community just doesn't go one direction. Let's say all business. you have to have,
elaborate on that a little
you
bit
have
more.
to have a balance. You need to balance the quality of life for the citizenship against the business opportunities in a community.
Now you are in charge, or you are on the fundraising committee. Tell us about that and what.
I was on. Yeah, I was. That was initially when I went on the board, and the fundraising committee was formed, and that frankly is made up of yourself,
Right.
Lisa Reagan, and Ken Simonis, and myself, and just recently. I was elected to treasurer of the organization.
And whenever people are interested in fundraisers or what the money is going to, what are some of the visions for the Gateway Foundation if they do receive the funds that they desire?
Well, any organization that's going to do good work is going to have to raise money in order to help do that. And up until now, it's just been a few friends and members of the board and that have contributed into the Gateway Foundation and allowed it to do its work to this point. We got a wonderful story in a action team that was formed after the conference called the First and Last Impressions. And if there ever was a textbook of a community group getting together and organizing themselves and going for a project that would make a city a better city and contribute to the city, the First and Last Impressions did that with their new signage program that's going to be out all our entranceways. And most of the citizens around the city have seen a glimpse of what that's going to look like someday. Now all we got to do is see it come to fruition, and it'll be a great end of the story. Another one is the Heritage Group that put this historic walk and drive around the city, the map that you can pick up at the visitor centers and throughout the city. What a wonderful piece for our visitors to be able to pick up and to go through the city and see all the historical places that are here. And it's a great educational tool. Talking to Glenn Bogart from the school the other day, I mean, he feels it's a piece that the students can learn a lot about what took place, and that's all work that came out of the action teams that formed out of the conference of the Gatlinburg Gateway Foundation. And the foundation's responsibility is to foster these action groups, to see that they get the intellectual and, if necessary, financial help to make things happen.
Now, if someone did want to become a member or did want to contribute, how could they do it? Are there different levels, or how?
Well, yes. Our first fundraising is going to take place this fall, official fundraising. And the entire community is going to receive a newsletter about the Gatlinburg Gateway Foundation. It'll have a lot of news updates about all that's been going on these last 3 years. And under the fundraising portion of this, there'll be an opportunity for the public to get involved. And we have all kinds of levels. We have an elitist level where we've named certain gifts, like the LeConte gift is a gift of $25,000 or more. The Klingman's Dome gift is a gift from $10,000 up to $25,000. And the Chimneys gift is a $5,000 gift up to $10,000. So those that can fall in that bracket can be put in one of those named gifts, and those can be paid over a 3-year period if you want to make a commitment, But then for the average citizen like you and me, we have places from $15 to $200, and that's where the folks and the citizens of the city are going to get involved.
It sounds great, Stan. And I know I've watched the Gateway Foundation for the past several years and how they've taken their time and they've done their due diligence, and it is just growing as a stronger organization all the time. And I want to thank you for being involved in your efforts. And And I just want to ask you too, what would, in the near future, goals that you'd like to see accomplished or direction for the Gateway Foundation to go? Another conference in the future, or personally, what would you like to see happen?
Well, yeah, I believe we need to re-energize the initial conference that brought so many of our citizens together and allowed them to have the visions that they had to form the action teams that were formed. And out of those action teams, as we said, the first and last impressions, some great things have happened.
Absolutely.
And so I think that needs to continue to happen and re-energize. The other thing, I think the foundation now is looking to also get the business community to be more a part of the foundation, realizing that they're an intricate part of what happens here on a daily basis, and they all live here, and,
Sure.
and they grow, and their children grow up here. So the quality of life issues are important to them too, but the business issues are important to them too. So I believe that I see that as being an important mission.
Very good.
The foundation needs to stand for something, and that's what. And once the citizenship sees what it stands for, then they can participate and feel comfortable in participating. And I think that's happening. The foundation has been put under this organization extremely well, as you know. You're part of it. And so I think its future is bright.
Very good. Stan, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.